Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. How are you today? What do you feel about consciousness? Is it changing, you think, compared to 10 years ago? Is it harder or easier to relax? So let me start with introduction of myself. My name is Oxana, and originally I'm coming from Moscow, Russia. But I migrated to Australia in 2010. I am certified Awakened Mind practitioner and trainer, and I am online events moderator. Over the years, I've contributed a lot to the community of the Mind Mirror. And it was my initiative actually to start meeting together online and sharing our experiences and learning together. I have a background in psychology as a teacher of psychology. I also have diploma in transpersonal psychology, which you may consider alternative or spiritual psychology, which goes beyond the realm of personality, your masks that we wear in society, to subtle realms. As you probably know, most of people who come across psychology, they never stop learning. So I've been learning my whole life, and in the last 3 years, I was looking deeply into systemic family constellations. I was looking into numerology. I was looking into Astro-Psychology. And before all of this exciting journey, I was a corporate executive, but it's ancient history by now. So if you like me to summarize my biggest interest in life, probably that would be the high order of creation, looking onto the deepest, most profound level or language, you can put it this way, energy language, frequency language, vibrational language. I can probably say the language of the universe. And if you look into the ancient, all this mystics tradition or cultic tradition, they would know all of it. But we lost this knowledge, and it feels like I'm just reawakening to the knowledge that's already existing in me. So you might feel the same. And why I love it, it's because if we are talking about intangible things, it's really good to see how things work in physical world, because the laws, the patterns, the principles are all the same no matter what. This underlying layer, it will just manifest differently in different dimensions. But if you look into its core, into its essence, it will give you so many insights and so much connection and understanding to what's really going on, what's happening, what it is. So I'll stop here and go back to the topic of today, the topic of relaxation. We are revisiting the Awakened Mind protocol. If you have never watched previous webinars, it's not that critical, but I would recommend you to go and have a look, because understanding my vision will be easier if you watched this one, Energy Reading and the Mind Mirror. It's all about perspective, where I gave away all my insights about how I see things work, how I see the world in general, and how I see the mind mirror, and how the brainwaves help us to zoom in or zoom out and interact with reality. And then the recent webinars from this year, Mastering Attention, because I think the whole Awakened Mind protocol, it's called awakening, but realistically in the core of it is attention. So we can equally call it Mastering Attention training. And then another one devoted to the flow state, Mastering the Waves of Life, also gives you insights into peak performance and what's required, what are the prerequisites or conditions of the flow state. And of course, I think a couple of years ago, Judith did this beautiful webinar about Anna Weiss's protocol, ABCs of the Awakened Mind training. So the very first step was relaxation. And I decided, why not revisit it? Because our consciousness is changing. If I compare myself to 20 years ago, 10 years ago, my consciousness is definitely different. We are going through massive consciousness transformation. We have overabundance of stress, we have overabundance of information, and I guess it's important to highlight Maybe to some of you that would be common sense things, but it's very good to go back to common sense and look deeper beyond these multiple iterations and repetitions of what you do for stress and this and that. You can find plenty of information on the internet. Artificial intelligence will be generating presentations for you, but welcome to Real People World. This presentation was generated by me personally through my personal experience. So I hope you will enjoy it, and I'll emphasize more the things that I would like to share personally, because you won't find that in the internet. And I'll skip quickly the main things that you can explore further by yourself and slow down when we need to practice, because practice is the key. I hope you're ready to play and explore and learn. And of course, I'll remind you that we have the Mind Mirror portal, and here below you can see the link. So just a reminder that you can find meditations on relaxation in our Mind Mirror Meditation Center. So a little disclaimer that some of my views may not stick to very original pioneer teachings, because I see my goal to take it forward, right? Because the time is changing and we really need to master ourselves, become more flexible, more adaptive. And that's really, I think you will agree that it's the key skill, how to adapt to this fast-paced life, to these changing conditions, very demanding, very pressing on our consciousness. So part one, there'll be 3 parts. In the first one, we'll talk about the deep meaning of relaxation, hidden insights in our languages, different language groups. We'll look at the myths and metaphors for relaxation, why and what happens when we can't relax, and key relaxation principles and tips. Just general information. As usually, I looked 2 words related to relaxation in different language groups. To relax. In the English language, it comes from Latin, and the meaning is easing, loosen, less formal, open up, stretching out. So we already can see some reference to form, right? And we are loosening this form and we are opening up to something else. We're easing. Russian language is quite interesting. To relax will be расслабляться, which actually can be translated as being weak. A Hindu word for to relax, the verb comes from Persian, which means peace and comfort. In Hebrew, it will be from calm down, Chinese release or let go, and in Swahili, take a break. So all of this will start giving you more and more insight. To rest is another word often related to relaxation. In Old English, it was coming from the word bed or couch. I found that very interesting. Another version is, it comes from Proto-Germanic, where it means measure of a distance, namely mile, or stage of a journey. So it implies we're kind of zooming out and we are creating some distance. It also implies this is just a different stage of a journey. In Russian, to rest is related to breathing, and the closest literal translation would be to restore breath. In Hungarian, it comes from to pluck feathers, or again to breathe. Interestingly, breathing comes there again. In Chinese, it contains a few of the hieroglyphs or signs. The meaning of those: a person leaning on a tree to rest. And originally it was air going into the nose. So again, we see a reference to breathing. But later, the lines representing breath were reanalyzed as heart. So something related to breathing, something related to heart. So what it could all mean. Before we go there, I invite you to do a very simple exercise. So don't strain yourself, let's just play. Please do it with care. If you feel discomfortable, stop immediately. So try to take in breaths. So do not allow yourself to exhale. Just keep holding your breath, or when you feel like exhaling, you inhale again. So instead of exhaling, try to take another inhale and another inhale and another inhale. And at the same time, if you can do it at the same time, tense all your muscles. And when you feel like letting go, just put more tension into your muscles. Exert more tension, even more. And when you've done at least 3 in-breaths and increase your muscle tension 3 times, from this state, holding your breath with only inhales, try to make a few simple dance moves. Just move your arms and legs, and whether you can be as plastic as Michael Jackson is here in his moonwalk. And I'm sure you feel how hard it is to do any move when you are so tensed. And that's literally how our life feels if we take relaxation out. I want to share this folk wisdom, which I called myth as well. For a long, long time, back in the days when I was working in corporate world and was very, very young, I was told that business should come before pleasure. And I was told when the work is done, go have your fun. So I literally can allow myself to relax only after I've done something. So I have to do something first to deserve and earn the right to relax. So it's this subconscious programming that I was carrying through my whole life until I arrived into 40 plus age and realized something there is deeply, utterly wrong. And the illustration of the dead horse, that's the illustration of me in the past, where I was pushing myself first before I can relax, until I realized that no, there should be other order of things. So we are talking about 2 modes of existence in our world. It's duality, it's polarity. Again, this is one of these universal orders. And we are talking about work and rest, or stress and relaxation, or contraction and expansion, or you can also call it giving mode, which I call yang mode, and receiving mode, which I called yin mode. Expansion versus contraction, to me, are probably the most important words because they are like a traffic light of our body that gives us constantly the feedback about whether we are heading in the right direction or not, whether we want it or not. Mind deceives us, but body always knows the truth. So this is the body language that helps you to read this truth. So it's a really good reference for you to keep in mind when you want to get your body messages. I listed here a few polarities that will summarize our insights, or we'll just keep traveling and summarizing more and more through this presentation, the essence of relaxation. So we are talking about rest versus work, ease versus effort. This relaxation will be associated with softness and tension with something straining and hard. We are talking about expanded awareness when we relax versus focus and concentration and letting go versus control. We are talking about creativity, improvisation, or maybe even chaos to some extent versus rules and order. Loose versus tight, slowing down versus speeding up, exploring, wandering versus clear, firm direction. And then we are talking about exhale versus inhale. So when we were inhaling all the time, we were sticking just on one side of the spectrum, and that felt very uncomfortable. Process orientation versus result orientation, because usually when we relax, we are less driven by a certain goal. We may have a goal to relax and have fun and simply enjoy ourselves, but we are not interested in result per se. So then comfort versus pressure. non-violence versus force, because again, effort to some extent is related to some forceful activity. And obviously, this is a simple question. I wish I knew the answer before, long before I entered into the adult life. Which mode comes first? And obviously, one mode doesn't exist without the other. So that's absolutely natural interplay. It's like one of these, again, other laws of rhythm or cycle, where one changes another, and together they push us forward. Together they help move, accelerate, change, transform, evolve. So again, why I decided just look broader, not just at Awakened Mind Protocol, but look at the logic. Why relaxation in general should come as the first step. If we look at any mindfulness exercise, any meditation, any energy work, extrasensoric perception training or intuitive reading, if we talk about neurofeedback, alpha theta neurotherapy, and literally every day, every life move, it starts with relaxation. We can't move on without it. So metaphorically, the key essential things I came up, metaphors are great because they give you a broader kind of multidimensional explanation of things that through images, similarities helps you to better connect with the meaning. So take in to take off. That's how I call the first one. So for the car to go, we need to ensure the tanks are full. This is the first step of a preparation for any of our life journeys. And obviously we don't want dead horse. We want live horse and full of energy horse. At any time, we need to make sure our energy tanks should be full before we start. We not just arrive to the point of exhaustion. No, we are taking measures, and ideally we know our energy levels, our battery capacity, how long we can last. We know our favorite recharge methods, and we top up far before 100 kilometers before your tank is empty. So that's a good metaphor. And then another one, connect and allow, because we are talking about recharging. So to recharge, you always need to connect to something bigger than yourself, connect with the resources, and then allow to receive. So if you are not open, if you're not allowing to receive, sometimes we cannot take it in, even if the resources are there. Metaphor 3, wipe out to start afresh. And you'll maybe recognize one of the images I used in Mastering Attention webinar with a blackboard. So we need to clear the space for new experiences. We need to clear the residue of previous actions to be ready for a new movement. We need to cleanse this blackboard of our attention from previous lessons to open up for new lessons to come. And obviously, you'll see all of this reflected in our brainwaves later as we go. So symptoms that your relaxation might be out of order, and you may think it's just my muscles, maybe aches and pains, but we really need to look at the whole chain of things that I will emphasize. I'm sure most of you come from medical field and in general probably are well aware, but just a reminder of this logical semantic chain. Relaxation will fall into rest and digest. So quite a few functions are attached to relaxation. These are functions related to digestion, metabolism, sleep, regeneration, reproduction, growth, immunity, mood, and even social function. So they could be attention problems, lack of focus and concentration, difficulty with decision making, poor sleep, poor appetite, indigestion, bloatedness, constipation, metabolic problems, weight problems, low energy, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, dizziness, headaches, hormonal disorders, reproduction problems, low immunity, slow regeneration, bad moods and irritability, low social activity, and in general poor adaptability. Later on you'll see, because I put it all together here as well, and see another underlying cause, which I see as low energy levels due to poor connection with the earth and earthly functions. I'll elaborate on that later in the presentation. So reasons we can't relax. Obviously, there is a cause, even if we are not aware of it, the cause is still there. So most typical one, I call it, I want to feel alive. So that's the profound biggest need and craving of every human. We want to experience life. And the thing is, we experience life when we feel high in this or that way, when we are not dormant. We want this drive. So some healthy stress will be a sign of living life to a degree that we can register. But the problem is that nowadays there is high percentage of attention deficit problems. When you have attention deficit, we are seeking excitement. So our brains are so used to overstimulation that we became these excitement seekers. And sometimes even conflict, we are driving the conflict ourselves, because otherwise life simply seems too boring. So when you cheer yourself up through conflict, it's another way to feel alive. It's a bit perverted way, but still a way. And you probably know lots of people who are attached to maybe very negative emotions and stress in general, because in a way it's kind of addiction, but through this addiction, they feel alive. It's their perverted way to feel alive. So, healthy tip: know yourself, plan your experiences. We may rewatch Flow webinar. Also, eat more protein, healthy supplements, and less carbs, because that also helps you to feel a bit more grounded and connected, mindful, rather than blown away with the modern fast-paced world. So overactive emotional triggers. I call it, if I slow down, I'll be facing my shadows. So sometimes we're just so unprepared to look inside and work with our shadows. I hope you know what that means. It's these dysfunctional programs that need our attention. In other ways, I would call it a frozen energy reserves, traumas, etc. So we run, and we stay busy and stay away and distract ourselves from depression or anxiety. We don't want to look at the root cause of it and do something about it. So it's easier just to run the cycle, the usual cycle, because we are so used to it. Another one, sympathetic nervous system is stuck in overdrive. I need to protect myself at all times. It's somehow related with the previous one, overstimulated alarm centers in our brain, which say you have to be alert at all times because this is the way to survive. This works in the past, right? Maybe, again, difficult childhood, some kind of traumas, or maybe long-lasting traumatic experiences in the end resulted in this overdrive of our nervous system and overstimulated amygdala, which became overly sensitive and just rings the alert bell all the time. Another one, perfectionist syndrome, worrying about a worry cycle. Can't relax, turns on an obsessive worry cycle. So for those who suffer with insomnia, they know that very well. You start worrying that you can't fall asleep, and it sends you on another cycle, which is much worse. So this could be one of other potential reasons why we can't relax. And then, of course, distressing news. I'm disconnected from my tribe and I have one-sided view of real world. That's how I called it. And how can you relax when the world is so dangerous? So we are constantly pumped And again, this overstimulation on every level. But it's good to remember that it's just one-sided view, as I mentioned. It needs to be balanced out. Not everybody is a criminal. And obviously, we are all mature and we know that, so I want to elaborate on that. It comes from rest and digest. It's our parasympathetic nervous system, which basically is talking about giving us a break. So it's related to metabolic processes, slows them down, and allows us to conserve energy when the body is at rest or in a relaxed state. If it works fine, we have balanced blood sugar levels. We have no problems with relaxation hormone. Blood pressure is normal, heart is normal, breathing rate is normal. This parasympathetic system stimulates flow of saliva. So if we have a dry mouth, it's one of the symptoms. Secretions, intestinal movement, digestion to take place. Yes, when we are relaxed. Tears obviously are possible when we are relaxed too. So all of this on one side, it's a sign we are relaxed. On the other side, each of these points can give you a hint how we can relax. So, for example, if I say, let yourself have a cry, sometimes I even think that negative emotions, looking from the brainwaves perspective or energy perspective, that would mean for us to slow down. And that's exactly what happens when we relax. We are slowing down. So I bet we reach some point where we need a good cry just to relax and slow down and return a bit to ourselves instead of running mad. So this is the chart related to polyvagal theory that explains how we respond to stress and different arousal levels. And the healthy one is in the bottom when our parasympathetic nervous system is working fine. I wouldn't go much into detail saying that all of these functions that I just named, they're working properly. We have good social engagement. We feel connected and safe. We can orientate well in the environment. We are subtle, grounded, compassionate, curious, open, mindful. So that's where we all want to be. But then with the arousal, we may transit to a danger state, switching on a sympathetic nervous system with fight and flight response, and transit that zone into extreme case when we have life threats, when it's just hyperarousal, we can't get aroused anymore and literally play dead. So parasympathetic nervous system kicks in there as well. So it's just show where the healthy side of the spectrum lies. And then emphasize vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve, extending from the brainstem through the neck, chest, and abdomen, reaching various organs, including heart, lungs, and digestive tract. Basically, the key vital organs. And as you probably know, vagus nerve can provide insights into emergency tips, how to deal with stress. So I'll quickly name them because there's plenty of information on the internet. You can find it yourself and explore more. But just to refresh, if you know it already, cold water. So if you splash some cold water on your face and neck, or dips into cold water or ice bath are recommended. And you might also know that sometimes jumping into cold water could be a great awakening from depression, just a kicking point. Muscles of our throat, they are connected to vagus nerve. So when we drink, and obviously we all know somebody is having a difficult moment or being emotional, we would bring a glass of water. So drinking and swallowing, it helps. We often also eat, right, when we feel stressed. Gargling, yawning, or humming, and in particular is a great practice to connect us back and help us relax. Breathing, everybody knows that, and especially abdominal breathing. So as if we are blowing balloons in our belly below the ribs. You can do while you're listening to me a few breathing exercises right now. And remember also to relax your pelvic muscles and enlarge your exhales, because inhale takes us into activation mode, into this work mode, contraction mode, effort mode, and inhale takes us into in mode, giving away, relaxation mode. So the longer the exhale, the easier we relax. And obviously a big sigh, I didn't put it here, but even if we are running and have absolutely no time for meditation or anything, I would say a big sigh is a good thing, because you can exhale anything that doesn't serve you anymore and help your nervous system to rebalance. Human touch, it's a great thing. If you can see my head talking right now, so I can say you can simply just hug yourself like this, and even that would work. Go for massage, it's a great thing, or see a good friend. It's physical touch or social touch. It's just this sense of warmth and connection that always relaxes us and helps us. Body touch is very powerful, because it sends us back into our childhood, where basically body touches were the only first language we had with our mother, that we could read and understand straight away. Then exercise, mindful movement. Any excessive buildup of energy and overdrive of hormones can be rebalanced by simple jogging or walking or any other favorite physical exercise, ideally when you have bilateral movement, so your body has to balance itself. So yoga is great for that. Qigong is obviously great. Dancing, swimming is good too. And then tapping, everybody knows EFT, I suppose, emotional freedom tapping, or just finding this spot. I'll show you on the picture in the very middle of your chest, right there, where when I was little, I always thought that my soul lives in that point. It was interesting to find that in acupuncture, it's considered to be a sea of tranquility. There's CV17 point. There are more, obviously, but this is in particularly good for stress reduction, rest and digest activation. So just light tapping of that spot might help you to calm down. And we often, I don't know about you, but I often put the palm of my hand on the chest of my son when he was a bit worried and I needed to calm him down. Or even taking it back into the childhood, when we are little, we like to sleep with our little teddy bears, and we are pressing them right against that point. I think that's not a surprise. The easiest and best exercise, breathing exercise ever, that can be taken away and can be given to a child to help balance the nervous system. I put it here for you. I'm sure most of you will know, but just a reminder how you can explain it and how you can remember it yourself. So it's to balance the gas and brake, these two parts of your nervous system that drive you through life. So the first one, breathe in like you would smell your favorite flowers. And then breathe out how you would blow the candles on your birthday cake. So both will give you these pleasurable associations and help you to make your breath deeper and less shallow, and thus regain the balance. So great way to illustrate and remember. And here we come to underlying tips and principles for relaxation. They are non-obvious. This is my individual list. I realize that we can't really relax unless we are supported. So support is critical. To be loose, to become loose, to come at ease, we literally need to lean on something hard, something reliable. So that's why obviously we sit in a chair, we go to sleep in a bed on the floor. In social ways, we rely on mothers, spouses, partners, friends, We even rely on laws and governments. We rely on our belief systems and knowledge. We rely on habits and rituals. But there should be these things in physical and non-physical that we can rely on. And my question and hint for you, homework for you, will be to think about how many of these support points do you have. Make sure that you have as many as possible, both in material and non-material form. And what could they be? Depending on where you think you might have problems with relaxation, you may think of more points to rely on. So next one, we were talking about connection. So to connect, we need trust. So we need this reliable source we can rely on. So it implies there should be something we trust, we fully accept, something which can be received and receive us with warmth and love. In short, we can call it comfortable conditions within which we can relax. Then the next point, non-violence or gentleness. So it stems from the previous one, similar to how you can't make somebody love you or force somebody to love you. It's hard to be forced to relax. So we can only create the right conditions for it, and then it will come naturally. I maybe mentioned that before. I had a singing teacher. He calls himself Discover Your True Voice teacher, because he says that every person has his or her own voice frequency, a true voice. It makes you resonate with yourself, so your whole body starts resonating with your voice, and that means your whole field starts resonating. And he once told us that he had to revoke all his CDs with his meditations and training exercises from the shop shelves, because he said they were not gentle enough. I'll remember it forever. There wasn't enough gentleness in those meditations and guided exercises. Another one, key underlying tip and principle, contrast. Maximum relaxation comes after maximum contraction. In Russia, we have a joke that's just weird short dialogue. Go and relax. And the response is, I don't need to relax because I never get strained. It made me think for a long while that not getting stressed is good, until I realized that just being always relaxed and not stressed enough is no good. It means being stale. So change is good, and learning by contrast is good. Contraction and expansion, they pump the flow of life, so that's natural to go through some effort. And as we learned from the flow webinar, there is this optimal level of stress for you when you feel alive and when you're pursuing meaningful goals. And that's how it should be, right? When you're below that, you're simply bored and you're under exercising yourself, and probably you'll end up on a slippery path of some addictions or other perversions of how you can make yourself feel alive. Food feed all levels. Relaxation obviously is part of our refill, recharge, reproduce cycle. So we need to make sure that we are charging all levels. We usually stuck at physical, and that's when we think about muscles, nutrition, exercise, breathing, fresh air, and everything else related to physical. But let's remember that we have other levels as well. So we have emotional level or emotional body, and to relax some work usually can be done there as well. Letting go, forgiving, breathing through difficult emotions, maybe draining them through good friends or psychologist or, I don't know, priest in the church, or emotional feed we need too, and inspiring, encouraging emotions we need too. So we can resonate with others through even watching movies or listening or watching or seeing people who carry the vibration that we would like to have, carry the emotion that we would like to connect with. Then mental, mental feed most of the time these days is just go into silence and detox. But light philosophy, creativity, beauty, art, nature is exactly food or feed as well. Nature is the best way to relax and harmonize and rebalance. And then spiritual, of course, again, same knowledge about how world operates, nature, meditation or prayer, high energy places and high vibrational people, inspirational people, all of that would help to feed that side or that level or that body. Okay, so that was the first part of my presentation today, and I'll move on to the energy perspective. We'll talk about energy levels and how it's related to spirituality and health and happiness. And then we'll do a test based on psychoastrology. Okay, so first of all, question. They're very simple, but it's more to make you think. Take your thoughts into right thinking mode. Who do you think is more likely to be in a bad mood? By which I mean maybe snap and complain about something. Relaxed person, a person full of tension. So obviously, a person full of tension is more likely. When you're relaxed, you don't want to snap and complain. Who is better at improvising, being creative, being more adaptive in any form? Relaxed person or person full of tension? Again, just by simple movement exercise that we did in the very, very beginning, you can't be fluid in your moves when you're full of tension. Another question. What's more energy consuming? Acting ignorantly by habit or acting consciously? I should say habit is one of the energy preservation modes. It's a bad thing and it's a good thing. So if you have good habits, it's like you run a very economical car and petrol fuel doesn't cost you too much. So that's why it's really good to inbuild, make sure you have good habits early in life, and that will make your life much, much easier. That's what I'm trying to do with my son. And then acting consciously. It takes energy to discern the details of the context that you are in. And I think this is the main thing, recognizing the context. Oh, I'm moving into the next moment in life. So what are the conditions? What are the criteria? How can I adapt, adjust? How can I respond in the best possible way? Not just repeat by habit or by impulse what and how happened to me in the past, but can I do it in a creative, adaptive, conscious way? So it's always more energy consuming. It requires this variability, flexibility, if you like. Who is more likely to be happy? Someone low in energy or someone high in energy? Again, kids are best teachers. So when my child starts being grumpy and demanding and capricious, it means he's just tired or he's getting sick if this is early in the day. And that's so obvious. With adults, it's actually the same story. Somebody who is full of energy is more likely to be happy. Though, if they don't know what to do with these high energy reserves, sometimes it makes them play dead. So they'll get stuck in front of the TV on the couch, or sometimes they may go into conflict mode because they feel this desperate need to discharge this energy. So that's another side effect of having too much. But in a healthy way, if you know and you are using it, moderating the usage, you'll be fine. You'll be happy. So let's see how all of this fits into what I call energy perspective. And from that, we move on to the next part, brainwaves. So life, we are transmitters of energy. We receive, transduce, and transmit it further on at all times through our energy centers. And that's what I want to remind you, just to keep in mind in relation to relaxation, where it comes from. I want to remind you that we have two main sources. They start at tetrahedron. Sometimes this shape is also called Merkaba, is believed to describe our light body, but in essence, it represents interaction or interplay between the two: mother of form, physical, earthly, energy or nature of the human, and father of spirit, spiritual, heavenly nature of the human. So we would represent the intersection or interplay of both. And when we talk about relaxation, one of the key things is connected with our body more, because we are so trapped in our minds and overstimulated on many levels, living in information age. So I want to remind that beautiful citation from the template movement. They talk about sacred geometry, and they do ceremonies to reconnect the meridians or circuits of your energy body, of your light body, if you like. And I absolutely love this citation. I acknowledge and honor my physical being as the pinnacle of the manifestation of my spiritual identity. Juliet Carter. It's maybe difficult to comprehend from the first time, but we need to understand physical body is not something dropping out or evil or full of sins and desire. Not necessarily. We can see the other side of it, where it's actually very complex and really a masterpiece of creation on physical, which still holds a spiritual side in it as well. Spiritual, what do I mean by that? So we need to be connected to the earth, obviously, to receive the feed, and we need to be connected to the spirit. Being spiritual from the energy perspective would mean you are connected and you are aware of the energy network or spiritual network, or to this web of life. That makes you more conscious, more mindful, more sensitive, clairvoyant, if you like. You better understand cause and effect. You better see things. That's why I say having insights or developing energy vision is really the deepest you can go to understand and read the templates and the universal language. And also makes you more responsible, adds meaning to your life, because you can sense and identify your role, where your piece of puzzle is in this bigger world, as a conduit of life energy in this bigger network, bigger puzzle. So it makes you more ethical and makes you of service to others. And then health, it's on the surface of things, but we get all kinds of definitions of health, except the keyword where we talk about balance. So it's another higher order universal law of balance. So extremes are unhealthy. Any types of extremes are unhealthy. The truth and health lies somewhere in the middle. That's where we talk about all these golden mean ratios. We talk about middle path, etc. Balance also implies flexibility, so we can rebalance when we need, and there is nothing stuck. It implies permeability or high receptive capacity for the flow of life, and responsibility that comes with mindfulness and consciousness, and consequent adaptability and creativity. So, like any other system, we'll be talking about brainwaves soon. We need to balance hemispheres, bring together their function for the higher perspective. We need to make sure different parts within the brain should be well connected and communicating freely. When there is nothing stuck, when the energy can flow freely, there is flexibility, no brain bad habits. That would be healthy brain and higher state. So here, map of consciousness levels that shows us that higher frequency emotions would require more energy, and the low ones, they will deplete you. So where is the cause, where is the consequence? It's up to you, but if you observe yourself and others, you'll clearly understand that it's very hard to be happy when you are running very low in energy. And the more you transmit, if you come back in your mind to that picture of a human with lots of meridians symbolizing life flow through us, the more we can transmit, the richer our lives are, the bigger the life flow is, and the happier we usually are. And joy is this, how I say it, experiencing a high level of connection with the life energy when it overflows and gives these splashes. So that means you're actually in tune. It's hard to imagine yourself truly joyful when you're depleted in energy. And it means you're not stealing energy, you don't have destructive, negative thoughts. So we arrived to one of the alternative views I presented during my flow webinar, the previous one I did, and I was talking about life, love, flow. So the vision of systemic family constellations is based on many other schools, traditions of psychology. It's hard to name them all. So basically they would fit with the main developmental psychology. To enter the life flow and be in the flow, we need to make sure we do the very first steps. Relax, which means recharge or take energy feed in. Firstly, earthly energies, and then rely to trust the world. You're open to receive the feed, and your base chakra is open and connected. So let me just fantasize a little bit to help you ground this information. So there is a logical order of what happens to us when we incarnate on Earth. I hope we all believe in that there is something else beyond our physical body. There is a spirit or soul, that aspect of spirit in us. So we are spirit incarnated on Earth. So when we are born, we get this dress, we get this earthly cosmic suit, this physical body. And the first that happens to us, we have to learn how to survive on this earth, in these conditions, in this physical body. As you know, we have problems with digestion first few days of our life because our system is not adjusted yet to the earthly feed. And it takes a while to adjust to temperature, body maintenance, all of these little things related to our physical existence. So actually, successful survival would imply that you learn to relax, which means you can learn to take feed in on every level, starting with your mother's breast milk, earthly energies, magnetic field, you can feel comfortable there and connected with the earth, grounded. And then you rely. These two things come hand in hand because we are absolutely helpless. So we need to rely on our carers, whoever is feeding us, taking care of us. So these two things, they're so essential that they basically will define ways of interaction with the world later in life. Can we trust the world? Well, was the mother responsive? Was she coming and satisfying our needs, meeting our needs? Maybe with a delay, but she was always there. There was someone there who was taking care of us. So it's critically important. And as we can see, systemic family constellations, they talk about it as the very first steps in starting the flow. Another alternative view, psycho-astrological view, is talking about the same. Our ability to trust, to relax, to adapt, survive is set in the first 3 years of our life, where probably first 6 months are the most important and the most critical. Here I want to emphasize that we learned about rest, digest, logical, semantic chain related to relaxation. And here is kind of another logical chain which talks about relaxation as part of adaptation and survival. In astrology, the very first phase of our life, phase of adaptation to earthly body and developing survival skills, as I said, is represented by our first 6 months to 3 years of life. This is the time when we inherit family survival models, usually feminine side of the family, because we are physically attached to our mother for 9 months. So every cell of our body is sitting in her field, experiencing her vibrations. We can't disconnect. And we are still attached energetically to mums, I think, to about 7, 8 years old. So we are attached to relationships with our main carer. And we are so tuned to our mothers that we pick what they feel, how they feel, all their vibrations. And we learn to connect with the world or respond to the world kind of through her eyes in a way. So here we come to the very interesting exercise related to the moon, because I learned that in natal charts, based on our date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth, we can find the moon that will describe quite a few things. And one of them is relaxation, or best ways to relax, and your comfort zone. Or in short, I could probably call it your survival strategy. So that's this mode that we inherit from, as I said, mainly feminine side of our families. And we can change it later in life because it means this passive mode, basic, with minimum effort. What should we do to relax, recharge, and survive? And whenever, whatever happens, when we are triggered, we will have the tendency to go back or regress to this basic survival strategy that we carry in ourselves. I'll stop the presentation and I want to share with you the file that I prepared for you. Some of you gave me your birth details, so depending where your moon sits, which house and which sign, and of course which aspects, that will define your strategies. I invite you to open the moon file. For those of you who haven't done that, you can use quickly, without registration, this free service online. You can do it at home because I think we might run out of time very fast. I'll just give an example. I have details for Stefano. I'm opening the file, which is a summary from the book by Pavel Andreev, where you can read about your comfort zone and relaxation. So in the beginning, there will be just some generic information about the moon. The one which I just described, we realize that the moon is our comfort zone and there are relaxation strategies attached to it. So, for example, for Stefano, it's the third house in Pisces. For you, the picture of the world is the place where one has to learn, communicate, move around. And that means the person relaxes through socializing, traveling, writing, and learning. And so that's defined by the house. And then there will be the sign. The sign was Pisces, so I'll go to the Pisces. Moon sits in Pisces, so the atmosphere of comfort and relaxation is formed from a special emotional mood associated with music, esotericism, art, cinema, and with additional indications from context with nature and animals. I marked in yellow the key lines that you might be interested in. And of course, I want to pay attention that this is just the very first layer because astrology is much more complex than this. If moon has aspects or connections with other planets, they will mess up and they will interfere. So what I just named, the house and the sign, will give you your ideal picture of relaxation. But most likely it will be influenced by other planets. If Moon is connected with the Sun and the Mercury, for example, and Venus, if they come in a bundle all together, when Moon is activated, all others will be activated. So say in the case of Stefano, it will mean it's not just communicating and meditating and learning. That's exactly what he is doing right now. But there will be other things coming up into play as well. Like Sun would be about shining the light or being on the stage and demonstrating oneself. And then Mercury will be about learning, communicating, so that's already covered. And then Venus would be about result, maybe material result, maybe flirting and search of beauty related to that as well, desire to connect with other people, look for relationships, because this is very important for Venus. So I wouldn't go into details, but at least these two will give you an idea of how you relax. If Mark is still there, I can read. Your house will be 5, and you're also in Pisces. Your house would be about the world is a place to fall in love, to take risks, to play and or have babies, indulge in your hobbies. So obviously, any love affairs and related to love, risk-taking activities, playing in any form, play, interaction with children, if this is your thing, and if your sun is sun like a planet is healthy, and your hobbies, they will help you relax. So I'm giving you this with the comment to understand that in traditional world, we think that relaxing, it's just me sitting at the beach and drinking cocktails and doing nothing. But in reality, it's so different for all of us. Say for me, that would be very predictable, organized rest time. Ideally, it should be productive so I can see the results as well. So it's more like a change of activity rather than just stale rest where you lie down and do nothing. That's my nature. And ideally, it's somewhere in nature, in calm and quiet conditions. For someone like my husband and my son, they would love something like motorbikes and playing with knives and bow and arrows and sharp things and risk taking. For me, it's mind blowing. It will drain my energy, not recharge. So it's just one of the examples that we are radically different, and you and your partners may be radically different in this, so be mindful how it works. Okay, and now, not to waste any more time, let's move into the rest of the presentation about brainwaves. I'll send all the links so you could revise your details, and I'll give you another link to Chronos app where you can read even the full interpretation. It will be basic, but it still will give you an idea. I'll do it in the follow-up email and tell you how you can access your development plan that may show you if you have any problems with relaxation and the moon, because of some difficult aspects on the moon, like if you have Pluto moon, for example, negative aspect, there will be advice on compensatorics, how you can balance it out, what activities can help you to balance out this stressful influence. So you do it in constructive ways, not running away, not fighting, but doing it in a good way, so you can truly relax. So brainwaves of relaxation will cover attention, consciousness, again, energy levels, and what are we relaxing, cover ultimate relaxation checklist, and do the final exercise. So attention and consciousness, do you know that by now, I suppose you already know, they actually function of energy. So focus and concentration required for holding the intention, goal orientation, impulse behavior control, clarity of thought, good mood, general ability to feel good and experience joy, even your confidence. It's all a matter of your energy level. Your energy levels are high, you'll tend to be more confident, you'll tend to be more in a good mood if you know how to apply your energy when it's balanced. Clarity of thought, you always need energy to have this clarity. Focus and concentration. Just think, if you didn't have a good sleep, you didn't recharge your batteries, your levels are low, you'll have problems with focusing, concentrating, making decisions. You most likely will be snapping if you didn't have a good sleep. It's like, I'll be grumpy. Ability to respond adequately, creatively, consciously, adapt rather than repeating the habitual impulsive behavior also depends on energy levels. Inner healing, transformation, growth, evolution, all of this depends on energy levels. So all of the above requires access to stable and sustainable adequate energy supply. Thus, the better you understand your energy structure and support your system, take a good care of yourself and your energy levels, the better functioning and happier human you are. So brainwaves. Let's have insights from brainwaves. We know that when we talk about brainwaves, we imply flow of energy and its frequency. So in some ways, that abstract chart with vision art and meridians transmitting light, that's one way to represent it. Brainwaves would register, because brain is registering instrument for the whole body energy field. And we read few frequencies. And introducing you these frequencies, I'll mention the order they kick in as we're born, because we learned that when we come to the earth, we need to adapt to earthly realities. And we don't just, we are not born adults with adult brains. We're born with very little brains that actually grow very fast in the first 6 months and grows and is not mature until we are age 10, 12. So let's look at it. We are born and we spend lots of time sleeping. That's our delta. Up to 3 years old, delta theta, we live in the lowest frequencies, slowest ones, and they are required for our intensive growth. The growing physically takes lots of energy, so it's just this savings mode. And deep connection with the other side as well, I should say, delta. We don't have any boundaries, we are still halfway in the other world and spend a lot of time in sleep. Then we speed up, and that's theta dream world. And remember, if you have kids or grandkids 3 to 6 years old, they're lovely sons, they're beautiful, they radiate light and love, but they are in the dreamland. If you ask them to focus, they wouldn't hold their attention for long. Attention span is ultra low. They're driven by fun and excitement, easily distractible, easily floating away. And then to age 7, 8, we develop alpha, we speed up even more. And that's when kids start learning, reading at school. That's when we can focus, hold the focus, and that lays the path for our beta. Alpha also implies we get really good hold of our body, and that's when most of kids also they do, I don't know, swimming, football, all kind of body exercises, making sure they're fully connected with their bodies. And then beta comes last, this fast frequency of adult world with abstract thinking and planning and conscious behavior. And then as we continue through life and we develop our spirit, a spiritual crisis or Kundalini awakening may come with gamma. So it's even faster frequency. So all I wanted you to pay attention here now, not to read this, but just get an idea. We gradually integrate ourselves into this world, earthly world. And here you can see how we see it with the mind mirror, the brainwaves. I put these numbers as the speed, 1, 2, 3, 4, just for the ease of it. So starting with delta, very slow, theta, then alpha, and then a beta conscious mind. Alpha bridge, as you can see, it's the dominant one. So our state of mind will be a combination of these brainwaves. So the one which is the loudest will define or orchestrate the rest of the symphony played in our minds. And here, the main thing I want to draw your attention to is that alpha bridge is sitting there in the middle, and it's this line of consciousness or borderline that separates conscious mind from subconscious and unconscious mind. And from all kinds of theories, we know that the energy sits in our subconscious, it sits lower, and beta brainwaves and gamma, they run on these lower frequencies. So let me put it this way. In this slide, it's better visible. It's reversed order here, starting from the slowest, delta, I don't know, God's way, universal energy wave, etheric body wave, theta wave, this dreamland wave, a memory wave as well, heart wave, alpha wave, and that's our body and five senses. Look, it's here, and they are considered to be more of a carrier waves, and beta gamma are information waves. I'll speak in detail about alpha and beta because that's what happens in relaxation as the first step in our protocol. So this is just to show you how, there will be this infralow frequency, then there'll be theta on top of that, and then gamma on top of that. And through resonance, all these brainwaves, they communicate and deliver information. So beta is something that we know as conscious mind. It's the fastest one in ordinary pattern. So when I'm talking, when I'm verbalizing, when I'm memorizing, logically thinking, decision making, making lists or goals, when I control my behavior, it's function of beta. Intellectual talking. So let's put it in one word: external. External action in physical world. I'll give a bit more insight from physiology of it. So beta is the highest, the fastest. So we reached maturity. It's dominant in ordinary state. And is one of the mindfulness teachers said, we are so fascinated with our great achievement of this fast beta thinking verbal logical brain that it takes over. We completely forget to connect with the rest. So that's the typical ordinary state pattern. And this yellow-orange beta lines are on top. So what is it? It's human brain neocortex. It's just this layer on the very top. And it's fast localized, desynchronized, arrhythmic, no clear peaks wave. And it's used to carry information through large spaces of our human brain. Human brain is the largest out of all the animals, as we know. So we need some kind of this fast wave to carry information long distances. So that's beta and that's gamma as well. Gamma will be talking about networks. So it does it like in upgraded quality level. So age, beta comes with the age of 12, maybe a little bit younger these days. So it's purely cortical, just cortex. And I named some of the functions. So if we talk about attention, our ability to focus, to concentrate, differentiate, discern, verbalize, conceptualize, analyze, make decisions, plans, goals, control behavior, it's all about beta. Negative, when it's too much, we become obsessive compulsive, obsessivity, the brain takes over. We are stressing too much. We're disconnected from our core, from the deeper parts of our brain. And anxiety, fear, panic, it's overrunning, burning type of beta, ungrounded type of beta. If we look at ourselves as electrical device, talking about balance. To balance, we need to slow down and balance higher frequencies with lower frequencies, but we are disconnected. Metaphorically, beta stands for thinking mind or self-identity, ego caught in the material world trap. Or in scientific words, executive function output. So we collect all the stimuli from reality and then we decide on how we are going to respond. And that's beta function. So we are thinking, we are talking back, we are acting, moving, organizing behavior. So I should say beta actually is the brainwave or frequency of the earthly realm, external earthly realm. When we talk about alpha, we are slowing down. So we call it gateway or this borderline to subconscious. And this means relaxed sensory awareness. So we are detaching from external and connecting kind of with ourselves, with our body, with our five senses. We remember we are not just thinking minds, we are bodies as well. We do not diminish any level. We are balanced when we are present on every floor of our consciousness, on every level of reality, including mind, including body, including the heart. So daydreaming, reverie, visualization, imagination, light meditation, they are all alpha states. Alpha is green and alpha is naturally dominant in the adult state. So again, from something highly disorganized and purely informational and energy consuming because it rides off slower brainwaves, we come to alpha, which is rhythmical. And it's like a pacer for the brain. So it's orchestrator. If alpha is there, we're more likely to be in balance. So we're returning to balance. We're returning to our body and five senses, and we are opening the door to resources that are underlying. So neurophysiologically, alpha, it's the hub that is responsible for our interaction with the external world. Sensory receptors. And it's a thalamic, cortical thalamic. So thalamus receives all the sensory stimuli, sends it to the cortex. Cortex analyzes and sends the response back. So that's the communication going on in the brain. I would say this is the core of the brain. It's not just the surface as we saw previously. So alpha, the function, context recognition, adequate timely response, suppression of irrelevant information or actions. So when we talk about consciousness, it's about alpha. It's attention, perception, memory retrieval, time-space orientation, and level of arousal as well. So when we have alpha functioning, we awaken state still, but a little bit detached, not too close. So if I use zoom, beta would be your nose in front of the wall and you see the details as close as possible. Alpha would be like I take one or two steps back so I can see a bigger picture and start sensing myself more. You kind of take a step back into yourself. So you are not becoming the victim of the external world and its conditioning and whatever comes with it, but you reconnect with yourself more, starting with your body. So metaphorically, alpha, body, gateway between conscious, subconscious, switch pacer, lever regulating the flow of our attention internally, externally, the zoom, link between earthly material and subtle realm frequencies. In more scientific words, inhibition and timing are the key functions of alpha. So as I mentioned, we highlight what's important in this context, check with the memory how we are supposed to behave in this context, and regulate our behavior. So suppress impulses and allow for desirable behavior to happen. So along with beta, it's index of maturity and cognitive performance, knowledge-based consciousness and behavior control. Just the last word about physical or physiological side of things. Alpha is dominant in healthy, mature adult brain. It shows healthy arousal, healthy operational speed, and alpha was discovered first with the very first EEG device because it's dominant. Obviously, you pick up whatever is more pronounced, right? And they found that alpha is the idling rhythm. So the more beta, the more active we are, the less alpha we show. And when beta activity is finished, we go into this in and more receptive mode and idling mode. And my biggest insight when I was reading a book about psychology, that alpha was described as this readiness for action. You wipe out your blackboard, wipe out all your sensory channels, and you sit there ready for action. Peak performance, especially in sports world, you can't be distracted. You have to be open and ready to act when the moment comes. So this time and inhibition, it's exactly the role of alpha. So you keep brain in this idle mode, but ready to kick in when the right moment comes. Did you know that addictions have low energy in its core? On a subtle energy level, when we are craving something, and most of popular addictions will fall into this category, like sugar craving, most of drugs will have alpha deficit in its core. So when do, for example, people drink? People drink when tired, after a hard working day, after having an argument, just trying to relax and find relief and consolation, lacking acceptance and love for themselves. The truth is that such relief is temporary and there will be a price to pay later on. Like one of the spiritual teachers said, you are stealing the lifetime from your future, or you are stealing time of your life from your future. Alcohol and marijuana, or substance abuse addictions, often come as a comorbid condition for trauma, anxiety, and or depression. People who get addicted might be genetically predisposed to these addictions or severely traumatized, both of which will show up as alpha blockage or inability to open up and release alpha, thus blocking access to deeper resources inside. The mentioned substances immediately open alpha, providing the relief from often unbearable misery and helping to cope with life. So what looks like destructive, like all other symptoms, on a deep level turns out to be an adaptive mechanism for those who do not know better alternative. Here is the summary. So from beta, for active beta in ordinary pattern, ordinary mode, external yang mode, which is fast, irregular, cortical, which means superficial basically in terms of brain location, external, fixated on external world, which is thinking mind, which is unbalanced. Look, this pattern is clearly unbalanced. And separate, so this is a bottleneck. We can't talk about free flow of energy and go into every flow of our consciousness, no. And it's energy consuming. We go into more rhythmical, cortex, thalamus, cortex, deeper into the brain, more connected with the rest of the brain. We slightly detach from external reality, so we are not so absorbed by it. It's mind plus body already. We regain connection with the physical. It's balancing, as I said, it's the orchestrator, keeping the time and pace for the whole brain, for healthy brain. It's connecting us to lower frequencies and it's providing energy. Just to give you an idea, I'll run you through this exercise because it will help you to feel more the difference between this kind of yang mode, beta active mode, and more passive alpha mode, more receiving mode. Alpha is also, by the way, good for studies. So hard and soft exercise. We cannot control everything in life. Being mindful or conscious implies being responsible for our response. Because external world, it lives according to its own way, and not necessarily we can always influence and make it meet our expectations. So this is a great exercise for you to remember about which operation mode to choose. Hard when it's like tough, strong beta, soft when it's alpha and below, which is more like in mode. You can just imagine it. Imagining will do it as well. So when you make a fist and bang a wall or a desk or any hard surface, you can do it now if you wish. You know what happens when you are hard and you are hitting the hard surface with your hardness. It's painful. So that's what happens when we completely lose track and go into this yang outgoing action mode without moderation. Now, part 2. You can find sharp corner of the table Or imagine that you are touching a fork or a sharp knife, like in the picture, but you are touching it not hard, you are doing it very, very slowly, and you imagine, almost foreseeing how you are approaching the sharp surface. So if you do it consciously, almost welcoming the surface, with this anticipation, with feeling of the shape even before the moment comes when you touch it physically, it actually becomes even a nice experience. So this ability to slow down and become soft, in one word I called it in mode, as opposed to yang mode. So you don't want to cause unnecessary fight and burnout of energy and hurt yourself. So depending on the circumstances, if you see that the circumstances, the context is represented, of course, metaphorically, like something hard that will not adapt and change for you, this is us who need to take charge and become adaptable and soft and flexible and turn it into nice experience for ourselves. So that gives a good representation of this switching the modes. So this is the general dynamics of brainwaves that I like to show. Ordinary state is the very first one where we start, represented by dominant beta, and then we slow down into alpha, and then we slow even further. I was talking about the first step, but of course relaxation will go much further, right? We may go into the whole like theta and even delta. Theta would represent in this pattern state of REM sleep or channeling pattern or mediumship pattern when they are searching for energy, or psychic pattern searching for information, connecting with universal field. And then as we drop deeper, yoga nidra, deep, deep, deep relaxation, just delta. And that's where babies are, and probably cats as well, most of their lifetime. Deep trance, when our electrical activity basically is outside of the brain. And that's the deepest relaxation. We are not going there today. We're just touching the surface and the very beginning of relaxation. Just saying that it's just to take this break off for the car to move. Evolved mind pattern would represent circular, balanced pattern, most balance of oneness and unity, of connection. I'm plugged in, I'm connected, I'm one with all. So, role of alpha brainwaves in attention and consciousness, conclusion 1. When we relax, we open alpha and reduce beta. We address physical body, we anchor in physical reality. Being incarnated on earth is a matter of time and space. It's essential to live in the physical body, not just in virtual worlds. As I said, we are present. We are not diminishing or denying every level of our existence. Healthy is balance, present on all, and flexible to navigate amongst them. So our conscious mind beta gets grounded in the body, through 5 senses, thus anchored in here, space, and now time, and regaining focus and connection and traction with reality. So through the body, we get access to these earthly energies. This is important for us, not just chemically, because we live here, we have to eat and consume, and we are subject to physical world, all this body maintenance. But we have to agree that we are connected with Earth as well electromagnetically, and it's naturally cleansing and healing for us. So when we go to sleep or when we lie down, even sunbathe, we restore our natural balance with the Earth, and it gives us resources, it gives us energy, it takes away all the darkness and heaviness from the body. We often feel relieved, lighter, more vital. And we recharge, right? We get this point of support, and we feel there is bigger mother, right? So you can talk about Earth or electromagnetic field, or you can simply talk about we're connected to nature more, and it's tangible, it's physical, it's really sensible. We can check it, right? Feel it with our senses. So A conclusion 2, we get closer to natural order. Adaptability, switch on our adaptability. High, healthy, more optimal, efficient states are characterized by less chaos and more order or coherence. So alpha is central dominating rhythm, and thus its organizing principle. So metaphorically, alpha is like a conscious driver monitoring the traffic, which selects relevant stimuli, blocks irrelevant, and the gearbox, it adjusts our speed. Attention qualities will be focus, selectivity, flexibility, switchability. And without alpha, we're actually stuck. It's like your car being parked and you can't move. You have to take your brake off. Our conscious mind beta would be blocking and interfering largely with the natural flow through all kinds of conceptions and conditioning and expectations. So opening alpha, we restore the natural flow of things. And remember that peak performance formula is actually potential minus interference. So we reduce interference from beta through relaxing and allowing for things to happen. And here, just a good illustration that I didn't show before. So alpha would be generated from the middle of the brain with representation pathways going to the cortex. So this is how they look like. So you literally get your brain connected. And the last but not the least, we connect with inner resources through alpha. It's the gateway to subconscious. So the door is shut, we are trapped in our mind box, unable to connect with so much needed energy, which, as we learned, is required for beta and external action, otherwise we'll burn out. And we need information as well. So intuition, inner wisdom, heart soul perspective comes from lower levels, theta and beyond. So alpha opens the doors to these resources, essential resources. Just one slide showing a snapshot of our brain response and switch. So beta would be trapped in the physical external, separate survival mode, and look how much beta we have. And then as we switch to creation mode, there's more balance instantly when we start relaxing, and it allows us to go into this more conscious, mindful, creative mode. Alpha landmarks, I named them in the previous webinar about flow state, because to enter the flow, we need to relax as well. We need to open alpha. We can't be fixated. We can't be holding the brakes. So that's letting go, receiving, flowing, opening, allowing, accepting. It will all be about connection, trust. It will also be about breath or exhale. So we are restoring this breath of life, sensualizing, tasting, activating all 5 senses. The word life, vitality, health, and flow, happiness, friendliness, all relate to alpha. The words, again, themselves, they are triggers or landmarks or keys. You just say the word and it will bring associations and activate alpha in you. That's what we call landmarks. Attention, perception, nature, environment, nature in general, anything we enjoy, place, activity, relationship, getting in touch, communicate, reach out, reconnect. And the very word time and present to yourself will activate alpha. Plus power within will take us deeper into alpha theta. And actually all support points I want to discuss in the next program devoted to the next stage. Because after alpha, we dive into theta, and I want to make a program about that. So when are we relaxing? What are we relaxing? Good question to ask. Do you have a favorite body scanning order? When we talk about body relaxation, we have to remember that our mode of interaction with the world is through our 5 senses. So it's good to relax these muscles related to senses as well. And then do you remember that we also have other bodies? So here is the ultimate checklist. Sensory channel, vision, eyes. And as I'm doing this, you may just close your eyes and imagine all the muscles relaxing around them. Hearing, ears. You may imagine your ears and all the muscles around them relaxing, including maybe links to the brain if you like. Smell, nose. So all the muscles related to the nose relaxing. And as you draw your attention, by the way, to those sensory channels, your blood will be going there, and it will make those sensory receptors more sensitive. Taste, tongue, relaxing the tongue, and touch, skin. Body levels, our brain is selective, and usually we are fixated on muscles. We are relaxing muscles. But remember that our body is more than just what we see. It's a vibration as well. And bones, muscles and organs and blood vessels, they have their own vibrational frequency, and underlying skin, fat and skin as well. So you can connect with them all. So here I leave it with you. It can be a guide to your ultimate progressive relaxation meditation. And I will record one. So if you want to receive one when it's recorded, leave me a message in chat. I'll send it to you, because by connecting, we used to think we can recharge from external world, from food, from something external, but we never think of our own body as something that can actually provide us energy as well. So when we focus on bones and then muscles, organs, blood vessels, and then skin, we actually extract energy or connect with our own body more, pump or saturate our etheric body, which makes our presence more tangible, visible, and lifts our confidence to another level, confidence and consciousness and sensitivity to the next level. And then think, just I'm giving it to you now like this, but can you imagine relaxing every cell of your body? And then can you imagine relaxing every particle of our physical body? And then can you imagine relaxing the space between the particles in your body? If you follow my words, you may simply say relax, or you may fill them with the golden or white light. Or imagine the softest sun rays that you can imagine, and feel every cell of your body with that. Feel every particle of your physical body with that. And then feel the spaces between your particles. When I get to the level, the space between the particles, I can tell you that I feel my body light as and transparent as, because on the very deep level, we are just the space. And then don't forget, of course, about your subtle bodies besides physical. You can just say, I believe, even if you can't sense it enough, somehow we still have reference. Some part of us knows a relaxing emotional body, or instead of relaxing, as I said, you may just submerge or immerse yourself into the light, golden white light, or imagine the sun rays, and submerge into your emotional body, and it can take the stress off. Oh, by the way, there is a meditation released now for free from the course that I did about my favorite meditations, and there we talk about violet flame or violet ray, and we submerge ourselves into this violet flame, and that's the highest light frequency. So it's very healing and it's very liberating. It's beautiful. I invite you to check out that meditation. It's listed on Meditation Club announcement. So this is the Mind Mirror Meditation Club that you can visit and find there the violet flame meditation. So emotional body, you can relax. Mental body, just give it command to relax or submerge in light, and spiritual body as well. Just remember about that. And then we came to the last exercise for today. The exercise comes from Systemic Family Constellations, and the idea is as follows. I love it because it's brilliant. In its essence, it's shamanic and quantum. It may work, it may not work, but I recommend you to try it anyway. First of all, for this little exercise, you may need to lie down. I'm not sure if it's possible in your current conditions, just be ready for lying down if you need, or be ready just to sink in your chair if you need. It can be done as follows. First thing I would like you to do, ideally, I would like you to stand up and do it while standing. So if you can do it like that, please do it. If it's difficult for you, you may just put another chair in front of you and just switch chairs. But this body movement is critically important for switching your brain. In short, we are going to step into relaxation. So first thing we are doing, I want you to stand up or sit in your chair and close your eyes and scan yourself right now, your body, how it feels. Check your posture, general posture, your muscle tightness, and overall impression of how you feel yourself within your body, how you typically feel. You don't need much time for that because you're pretty aware usually how you feel. Your probably brain is burning and body might be tense from sitting for so long. And now I invite you to take a step forward into relaxation or switch chairs. And you step and you leave shed yourself behind and tune into relaxation. You're no longer yourself. You are relaxation itself. By tuning, I mean start tracking, monitoring changes in your body. That's all that matters. Nothing abstract, nothing extraordinary. Just see the changes in your body. You might feel loosening and you might need to lie down even or sink in your chair. Follow the urge, do what's necessary, and keep monitoring the changes in your body. Try not to overthink. Just monitor what your body is doing. These subtle changes happening in the muscles, in the posture, maybe even in your brain. And stay there for a few seconds, just observing. You are relaxation itself. Just make a note how it feels like being inside relaxation, being one with it, being it. How your body feels, what changes happened, and just make a snapshot of this changed state, hopefully more relaxed state, as a landmark that you can refer to and come back to later when necessary. So when you're ready, you may switch on fully your brain, take a deep breath, and come back to your normal position, to your chair, and still ponder a little bit about any insights that might have come up while you were doing this short exercise and meditation. So when you're ready, please come back. So it would be very lovely if some of you can come back and share your experiences. Otherwise, I'll wrap up our meeting today. So I hope you enjoyed this webinar. There was plenty of information as usually, and I hope it will help you in your journey towards relaxation. Any feedback welcome by email, and please stay tuned, stay in touch. I'll share the recording, all presentation slides and all materials, and invite you to continue join the next webinar. I hope it will be sometime next month, where I want to talk about harmonizers and about grounding and our support points in more detail. So thank you all for your attention, and good night, good day, wherever you are. See you next time. Bye.